Hey everyone, welcome to another digital painting process video. This time around, I'll be showing you the full painting process of my Arcane piece of different characters from that show, in a different style that those who follow me will have known me for as well, but for the people who are just watching from YouTube, this is going to look quite different from my painterly style that I usually do. For this video, I'll be discussing something that I would imagine most artists would have felt, but they also wouldn't have thought of it consciously. In general, you'll probably be subconsciously doing things in the flow and not really thinking about this. But if you were to hyperanalyze what you are actually doing during the full process of art, you will most likely spend 80% of your time doing this without even knowing it. 80% of your art process time will be on your ideas. This may seem a bit odd, but I'll explain it to you. As you get more experience and more trained in painting and drawing, eventually those skills will be subconscious. Sort of like what I was talking about before in another video where I discussed analysis paralysis, where sometimes you just have to let your muscle memory go and do things in the flow. When you're in that flow state, you are extracting what you have practiced and trained to do. You're not really thinking about all the art fundamentals or all the aspects of art like anatomy and colors. You're just doing things and deciding things very quickly within milliseconds as you're painting. It's likely 20% of the time that you spend on an art piece will just be you automatically doing all the things that you already know and that you're practiced with. When you're really trained in something and experienced, you can do something rather quickly. This is especially true if you draw the same subject matter over and over again, or at least similar ones. So for instance, you can imagine I've drawn people a lot, especially females. In doing so, I have the anatomy and the proportions that I like drilled into my head, and I can bring that out rather quickly now. That's what technical practice is for. You're going to be able to condense all of that knowledge into 20% of an art process. However, what is the other 80%? Given that you are most likely drawing a different illustration every single time or concept art, you're going to be spending 80% of the time dealing with the ideas and the designs of that subject matter you're dealing with. This is especially true if you are dealing with certain things that will bring up issues that you've never seen before. So for instance, if I am still drawing a female character, but there are certain parts of, let's say, their costume that is causing issues, most likely I'm going to have to sit down, research, and think about how I'm going to approach that thing that is causing a rut in my art process. In fact, you will probably find yourself every so often just taking a step back and thinking how you're going to approach moving forward. And that's perfectly natural, because the point of art is always giving you yourself different issues to resolve as you're painting. Otherwise, you're going to draw the same thing over and over again, which of course is boring. And even in the most formulaic styles, let's say you just draw the same archetypes of faces and proportions over and over again, there will inevitably be something that will be unforeseen from your sketch phase that you may find yourself having to resolve as you are painting on the fly. It goes without saying, difficult parts of your artwork is inevitable, and it will also take the majority of the time that you work on a piece. Now, I will mention that planning, researching, sketching, color keying, doing all of that stuff will minimize the issues you will have moving into your final piece. That's the point of research. While you will find new problems as you are painting that you won't be able to see early on, you want to minimize the time that you do that. And that comes with experience. You'll know what you need moving into your final illustration. And of course, again, even the biggest professionals will find issues as they're working. But hopefully it's not something catastrophic to the piece. But even then, when we think about the time to research, sketch, and color key and stuff, that will be part of the 80% that I'm talking about. For those who are just starting their art journey, this might seem a little bit odd, but I always tell people that the rendering phase is actually the easiest part of the art processes. In every one of these YouTube videos that I'm showing of my painting processes, you'll notice that all of these seem like they take a few hours at most, and I'm condensing and fast forwarding them for the sake of uploading it on YouTube. What I'm not showing you, however, is all the time that I'm researching and I'm sketching out compositions and thumbnails and that sort of planning before I get to this step where I'm recording and showing it to you. Now, of course, because most of these are going to be fan art, I don't have to do as much research as I would need to for something that is original, which is, of course, the boon of working on fan art. As I said in my video on breaking habits, the major benefit of fan art is that you're dealing with existing designs, so if you just want to get into it and draw, then you have these designs available to you. You don't have to just sit around just doing all this research and get right into drawing. So with that, you cut out the majority of the 80% of the time that I talk about. But otherwise, you're going to have to go through that, and the ideas are going to be the hardest part of your art process, without a doubt. And I'm not even considering the time it takes for you to get inspiration and to find those ideas that you want to draw and paint. So maybe you're walking in the park or you're sitting around meditating and then you find that idea. That time could be considered part of your art process time. To even think of these ideas can take a while, especially if you're doing something important. So my point being doing this video is just understand that there will be a day when every artist would have resolved the technical side of things enough that it becomes second nature. Now, that's not to say you're just going to master everything and you can never improve the technical side of things, but you'll reach the point where it's competent enough that you can probably get through the steps of the technical side of things in 20% of the art process time. The rest of the 80% is to really deal with the researching, the planning, the ideas, the inspirations, the referencing. It becomes the hardest part of your work. So really understand how your own brain works and how you plan and make things easier for yourself when it comes to this part of dealing with your artwork. The more experienced you are, the more time efficient you will be to resolve this side of things. So for any beginners listening to this, be ready for that. But of course, get your technical side of art done first. Anyways, thank you for watching. Here's the final artwork of my Arcane piece. As usual, feel free to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Any bit of support helps to have more of these videos released. And if you find this helpful, feel free to express your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.